Time now for everybody's favorite guessing game, What's My Line? Throughout the world, only one company produces all types of business machines and systems, Remington Rand, who now invite you to play What's My Line?
And now let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel. First, the popular Broadway columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in the New York Journal-American and papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Thank you, and on my left, no longer a mystery guest, no mystery, not even a guest, but just a panelist, just where he belongs, Mr. Fred Allen.
Thank you. Thank you, Dorothy, and I also want to thank Robert Q. Lewis for sitting in for me the 2 weeks that I was in the hospital, and I hope that he'll go up in the hospital and sit in for me now that I'm out. But at my left, ladies and gentlemen, a young lady who told me that today that the sun was so hot all of last week that Bear Mountain has a blister on it 2 miles long, Miss Arlene Francis.
Oh, Fred, you tell everything. And on my left, the very attractive publisher of Random House and columnist for This Week magazine, always attractive, Bennett Cerf.
Thank you. Thank you, Arlene. And on my left, of course, our dapper, erudite, and super eloquent panel moderator, John Charles Daly.
Thank you, Bennett. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. Once again, in all of the summer heat, we've had some people who were kind enough to feel they had interesting occupations and offered to come up and visit us of a Sunday night. And they've come tonight with some very tough occupations for the panel to try to work out. I think we ought to get to that. We'll have a famous guest challenger in just a moment, but right now let's let the experts meet the first challenger whose line has to be spotted. Will you sign in, please, ma'am? Lee? Chona? LaClaire, is that right? Is it Miss or Mrs.? Miss Lee LeClaire, then. And where are you from? Huntington, West Virginia? Well, it's nice to have you here. Don't be too nervous about this, and don't worry about it, because you'll get out of here all in one piece. I promise you that. But would you be good enough to walk down in front of the panel now and let them get a closer look at you?
You won in the Miss Universe contest, buddy.
Hello, Mr. Clare.
How are you?
Hello.
All right, over here, if you will, Miss LeClaire, and sit down next to me. And I would ask you, first of all, if you are familiar with our scoring system on What's My Line, are you?
Yes, I am.
Fine. If you're familiar with the scoring system, let's let both people at home and those who are here in the theater with us know exactly what your line is. All right. You're all set, Miss LeClaire. We will announce that you are salaried and begin the general questioning with Miss Kilgallen.
Miss LeClaire, does what you do give people pleasure or make them feel better? You seem to have made this audience feel better already.
Well, I would say some it does, not all of them.
Do you deal with both sexes?
Yes.
Are they human beings?
Now, we might, if I may intrude here, we are in an area which can be both narrow and broad. In the broader sense, I think Miss LeClaire might be described as dealing with both sexes. In the narrower concept, I think we would tend to say that she dealt with one sex.
Well, shall we play it broad or narrow, panel? All right, it's one sex. Mostly. Would you say mostly one sex?
Yes.
Well, there we go again. It would be entirely dependent on the concept.
I see.
In one concept, you would tend to restrict the association to one sex. In the other, the broader concept involving the whole community, as it were, you would have the two sexes.
All right. Then in the broader concept, what you do benefits, let us say, both sexes, but you deal mostly with one sex in your daily life. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is the sex that you deal with mostly female?
Yes.
Are you one of a group of females who do something together?
Pretty soon with a male.
And now you all see why I love my work. Well, I would say that Miss LeClaire has explained to me that you would say that in some instances, a group, yes.
May I rule out the armed forces? I feel because of the length of your hair that you wouldn't be a whack. Are you something other than a whack?
Yes.
Do you work for a profit-making organization?
Yes.
Do you in any sense belong to any form of the entertainment or amusement business?
Yes.
Do numbers of people come to watch what you do?
Yes.
And they can be men and women?
Yes.
Do you move about in your work?
Yes.
Do you work on a stage ever?
Beg your pardon?
Do you
work on a stage?
Ever?
Or a runway?
No.
No, I do not think on a stage or runway. Those descriptions would be out of line. 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Allen.
I would just like to ask one question, John. When does she do it, and when can I see it?
Fred, and you so recently out of the hospital. Congratulations, sir.
In my weakened condition, I don't know what I'm saying. But is this something that's done with a show out of doors? Like a carnival, some show of that nature?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
Yes.
And is it, you perform, do you?
Yes.
Is it a form of, is there anyone with you, a person, something not human with you in the... Well, you could dance with a snake or a friend or something.
No.
No, that's 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
May I presume that you wear a costume when you perform?
Yes.
Is it
I hope so.
smaller rather than larger
Beg your pardon?
than what you are wearing now? Would it be a little scantier than what you are wearing now?
Yes.
Are you ever in the air when you perform?
Yes.
Well, she isn't shot out of a cannon. Now, that's impossible. Do you have anything whatsoever to do with the wire act or a trapeze act?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Cerf. I'm going to give you 1 more minute.
Miss LeClaire, there is no form of acrobatics, then, connected with the act that you do. Is that correct?
No.
Yes, there is no
form of acrobatics.
Of formal acrobatics.
Is there a man ever in the act that you perform?
Yes.
Wait a minute.
How did he get in there?
Don't count this out of our minutes.
Huh?
I would say Miss LeClaire is bending over backwards to be completely fair, but I think you will agree when all is finished that we could not say that there is a man involved in the performance. So
He
we
holds the net.
Is
That's what
there an
the man
airplane connected? Well,
you've
never mind.
just run dry. That's 4 down and 6 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, do you do some form of dancing, whatever it is you do?
No.
5 down and 5 to go, and I'm going to tip it over. The minute's run
What
out.
about diving?
What's that?
Diving,
Diving, Fred?
diving act.
Gee, if we'd just gone for another question, we'd have had another no. You see how these things go? Now, actually, Miss LeClaire is a professional wrestler. And as you can see, Miss LeClaire, the panel was stumped, and although we ran out of time, you have won the game hands down. And thanks
Thank
very
you
much
very
for being
much.
our guest. It was nice to have you with us. All right, now let's see what you can do with another challenger. Will you sign in, please, ma'am? Referee, yeah, and that was not directly in the act, so I gave you a no. Lorraine Lorraine Straker, is that right? Is it Miss or Mrs.? Mrs. Straker?
That's right.
Where are you from?
From Cicero, Illinois.
Cicero, Illinois? Well, you have friends in the house, so be at ease and go over and let the panel get to know you a bit better, will you?
Straker. Hello, Mrs. Straker.
Straker, how are you?
All right, Mrs. Straker, will you come here and sit down next to me? We'll start back at zero where we belong, and do you know how we score this operation? Fine, if you do, let's let the folks at home, those in the theater who are here with us, know exactly what your line is. All right. Mrs. Straker is salaried. Let's begin the general questioning with Fred Allen.
Is there a product involved in what you do, Miss Straker?
No.
That's
There is
one
no
down, 9 to go, Miss
If
Fred.
you want to speed it up, I'm doing... I stayed in about as long as a giant pitcher.
Do you work for a non-profit making organization? Yes. Do you work for some branch of a government? Yes. Is it federal government? No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Is it any part of the Chicago government?
No.
3 down and 7 to
Just
go,
as
Miss
quick as you
Kilgallen.
Is it, well, you're from Cicero.
That's right.
That wouldn't be considered Chicago, would it?
No.
That question was just for information, and the no there will not count against Miss Kilgallen.
Are you something in state government?
State
No.
government, that makes it 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Allen.
Are you in the local government there?
Yes.
Are you engaged in any activity that would require you to wear a uniform to perform
Yes.
your function?
Yes.
Do you work in any of the disciplinary organizations there? In the jail, or do you work in the jail?
No.
5 down and 5 to
said
go,
no?
Miss Francis.
You wear a uniform. Would it be a uniform associated with the police in some way, though? Yes. Do you have anything to do with arresting people? No. Police doesn't arrest anybody. Can you imagine?
Conference.
Not in Cicero.
No fun being a policeman, you can't.
I thought she was a motorcycle cop, you know. I'll bet you've arrested some of my best friends. Oh, I don't know.
Actually, this is wonderful, because what I said to Mrs. Straker was that filling out, you know, the, what do you call it, the summons to go to court is a form of arrest. Because what Mrs. Straker does, actually, is police the parking meters in Cicero, and she makes all those you parked overtime show up in court on Tuesday morning and pay the money.
But you
please.
really do ride a motorcycle.
It's a motorcycle, please.
Well, how
a
can you...
three-wheel motorcycle.
Mrs. Straker, do they slug it out in those meters?
Well, how can you ride a motorcycle side saddle?
It's a 3-wheel motorcycle.
Oh, I see it.
And just to clear up one thing, the specific issue of arrest, physical arrest, Mrs. Straker does not do that, but she has a 2-way radio on her motorcycle. And if she does have any trouble, she just calls for a fellow male policeman, and they come fast.
Pretty sneaky.
Pretty sneaky. Miss Kilgallen.
I was just going to say, I thought she could do it in a pinch.
She could do it in a pinch. That'll be all the puns we want around here tonight. And thanks very much. We'll give you the full prize because you earned it. Thanks. Lovely to have you in. All right, in just a moment, we'll meet tonight's mystery guest. But first, a word from Remington Rand.
Consider the case of Sarah May, all tuckered out at the end of her day. While across the hall, still full of drive, is Mary Lou. She's alive after 5. What makes the difference? Well, let's turn the clock back and see. Mary Lou lets electricity take the hard work out of typing. You see, she asked her boss to get her a Remington Electric typewriter. What do you think of it, Mary Lou?
Just great. You know, typing can be real hard labor. For instance, do you know that in the course of a day's work, you return the carriage about 1,700 times? That takes real arm work in an old-style machine like this. But now watch this Remington Electric. Just press this key, and presto. You don't have to pound the keys either. Electricity does the work. It's so easy to turn out beautiful letters your boss will be proud to sign. And say, with a Remington Electric, you can turn out 15 or more real sharp carbons with no extra effort on your part. You know, a machine like this really saves money for your boss because it helps you get your work done faster. So, take it from me. With a Remington Electric, you really feel alive after 5.
Remington Rand, the first name in typewriters. The only company manufacturing all 3 office typewriters. The electric, available in 6 beautiful pastel colors. The noiseless. And the standard. Plus a complete line of portables. After a small down payment, you may take up to 30 months to purchase any of these machines.
And now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity, for which my friends on the panel have all been blindfolded. And are the blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes, Mr. Daly.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? As you know, panel, in the case of our mystery challenger, we changed the rules a bit. You ask one question at a time in turn, moving clockwise, and let's begin the festivities with Bennett, Cerf.
Well, trying to outthink you, John, and your ilk, I just want to ask one question. Has the mystery guest ever had anything whatever to do with this program before?
He rides a motorcycle.
What would that infer?
Well, I would imagine that Mr. Cerf is asking whether you've
Have I ever been a mystery guest before? Is
Yeah.
that what he meant?
No, I didn't ask that.
No, that any association with the program at all. I would think perhaps if we look back through time, although my mind was a little bit hazy on this, we would say yes, wouldn't we, on this one?
Yes.
That's one down. Sorry, me. That's yes. Go. Get back here. Get back here. All right, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, Steve Allen's in California.
We hope.
Hal Block.
He's with Wendy Barry.
Have you been sitting on this panel within the last 3 months?
3 months, did you say, Dorothy?
Yes.
Specifically, the question applies to the last 3 months.
That's my specific question.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Allen.
If this is the gentleman who guessed me last week, I'm not going to guess him this week. Is he a comedian?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Are you a tall, thin,
No,
blonde
no,
man? Are you distinguished among comedians by the fact that you never wear glasses?
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Have you ever done an act with Fred J. Muggs?
I am Fred J.
All right. Take off your
We
mask.
thought it would work.
Yeah. Robert Q. Lewis.
He's too smart, that publisher over there.
You think you've got trouble? About 5 minutes before we go on the air, sitting around upstairs with Bennett and Arlene and Fred and Dorothy and Bennett's wife, just chatting, and Bennett said, I know this gang. I bet I'll tell you what they're doing tonight. See, they had Fred in last week and Bob Lewis, and I bet they're just the kind of people who'd have Bob Lewis here tonight. No, there's trouble.
Well, I want, Mag, will you excuse me, but how is your dog?
Oh, you want a report?
I want a full report. I've been left hanging for a week.
When I left here last evening, I got home about last Sunday, that is. I got home at 12:30. Bonnie began to whelp at 1:30, and she stopped whelping at 5, and I whelped all the next day.
And everything is all right.
We have 4 wonderful Scotty pups.
And one less chaise longue.
One less.
Say, John, if you don't mind me interrupting, perhaps you and Bob could help me in something if you have a little time.
I'd love to.
I had a letter from a lady from St. Joe, Missouri this week, a lady named Leah Spratt, her name is. It sounds like a funny name, but it isn't. And she tells me that she's a little concerned about my appearance on television. And she thinks that she can help me because she has the same problem. She has bags under her eyes, too. And she says that if I will wear glasses on television, it will improve my appearance. So I have some glasses tonight, and I'll put them on, and you and Bob decide whether it helps. I doubt if anything will help me, but I'll put these on and see if it...
Well, let me have a look, Fred, and I'll tell you in a minute.
You look fine. John, to join that fraternity, he must have an honorary card from the Opticians Guild.
Well, I was the only remaining bare-eyed panelist in the business.
I'm taking mine off.
Sorry, Bennett. I just happen to have my reading glasses.
Well, we'll lead Bennett home. Bennett's taking his off. We'll lead him home tonight.
I just can't see anything.
Well, thanks very much, Robert.
John,
trying a
wonderful to
big
see
one.
you.
And I want you to know a final word about the pups, that the doctors who presided over this baby birthing last Sunday, Monday night, Mr. and Mrs. Daly, no professional help from the outside.
Good
That's
for
all.
you. Good for you.
Thanks,
Good
John.
to see you.
All right, and we have a moment to remind you folks who think that you'd like to try a contest with the panel here and puzzle them with your occupations, that the procedure to apply is very simple. All you have to do is to send your picture, a small snapshot that you can spare because we'll not be able to return it, your name, your address, your occupation, and when you expect to be in New York. And send this not to me because it's just delayed if you do that. Send it to What's My Line, CBS, 485 Madison Avenue, New York, 22, New York. And now let's see what our panel can do with a final challenger. Will you come in and sign in, please, ma'am? Pat? Pat Branton, is that right? Is it Miss or Mrs.? Mrs. Branton, and where are you from?
Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, New York? Look at the panel.
There's no tree.
All right, don't feel so bad. Come with me now. Actually, we're going to save a little time and dispense with the walk down. Do you know how we score things on this operation?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Then let's let the people who are at home and those who are with us here in the theater know exactly what your line is. All right. Mrs. Branton is salaried. With that, let's begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Mrs. Branton, do you need a formal education for your job? No.
1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mrs. Branton, is a product involved in what you do?
Yes.
Is it a useful product?
Yes.
Is it used by both men and women?
Yes.
Equally?
Yes.
Is it a product that would be any part of their wearing apparel?
No.
That's 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Just something funny. Is it anything that would be found in the kitchen or dining area of a house?
Anything that be found in the kitchen or dining area of a house? I wouldn't think so, do you? I think we'll say no, Miss Dorothy. I don't think you'll contest that. That makes it 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Allen.
Is this something that would be found outside of the house?
Yes.
On the grounds of a house, of a place?
No. 4
In the
down
cellar?
and 6 to go, Miss Francis.
You don't mean to specify that it would only be found outside of the house. It would also be found in the home.
That's right.
Yes. Could you buy this product at a store? Yes. Is it a manufactured product? Yes. Does it have any moving parts? No.
5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Is this, you sort of laughed about it being on the ground. Does this product hang up anywhere?
6 down and 4 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Is it solid rather than liquid?
I think that's...
Is it solid rather than liquid?
Yes.
Is it portable?
No.
Oh, is it portable? Yes.
Oh, yes.
Well, could I carry it around without any
Yes.
help from Fred?
Yes. Absolutely.
Would it be likely to be showing if company came to the house?
No.
7 down and 3 to go, Mr. Allen.
Is this some seasonal product, something that would be used in the summertime?
No.
8 down and 2 to go, Miss Francis.
Is it something that you would not ordinarily carry around in your hand? Yes. It usually would have a place to go. Yes.
It would have a place to go, yeah. Sure. A very specific place to go.
Yes. Is there anything about this that might scare a small child? Is it alive?
No.
No. Nine down and one to go, Mr. Cerf.
Am I correct, then, that this is no kind of an animal?
No.
Yes, you are correct. This is no kind of an animal.
It has never been alive.
Yes, you...
No.
Yes, you are correct. It has never been alive.
Would it be any kind of object that might be bought in a furniture store?
In a furniture store? No. That makes it 10 down and no more to go. Congratulations, and I want you to meet Mrs. Brenton, who tests seasick pills. Oh, my. And I hasten to explain, she weighs them, tests their disintegration period. What is it, Charles Pfizer? How do you
Charles Pfizer and Company.
Charles Pfizer and Company.
Name
Not
of the pill
Mrs.
is
Sales.
Bonamine.
Bonamine. Oh, yes, you remember Bonamine.
That's the new one, an
That's the
improvement
new
over
one.
Dramamine.
Fine. Well, great stuff, too. And we want to thank you very much. You fooled the panel completely. Thanks for being our guest. Nice to have you with us. And that will teach you to pick off our mystery celebrities so fast, panel. And we'll be back in just a moment. But first, here's a word from Remington Rand to all people in business.
Throughout the world, only one company produces all types of business machines and systems. Remington Rand, creators of over 160 accounting and punch card machines, 120 record control and filing systems, 80 adding machines and printing calculators, and a complete line of electronic computing systems. Remington Rand, manufacturers of over 20,000 products to serve the world of business.
Now, before our panel says goodnight, may I remind you to tune in again next Sunday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, when once again we invite you to play What's My Line. For other localities, check your local listings for the date and time of our weekly series. Now, a word from next week's sponsor.
Too much switching can be confusing. And if you've been switching deodorants, looking for a really effective one, join the happy people who have stopped with Stoppette. Always effective Stoppette lotion spray deodorant for all-day protection. Poop, there goes perspiration. Stoppette stops perspiration odor, checks perspiration itself, and soothes with its specially gentle lotion ingredients. Now you can stop switching and join the millions who have stopped with Stoppette.
That takes care of the seasick pills, and we got even with the panel for Robert Q. Lewis. And so, until next week, this is John Daly saying good night, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
John, doesn't she ever go to sea?
Go where, dear? To see? Oh, I don't know.
Good night, Fred.
Good night, Dorothy. And I want to thank Robert Q. Lewis for sitting in as the mystery guest for me tonight.
Good night, Fred. Good night, dear Bennett.
Arlene, I hope it's cooler in Montclair when you do the road to Rome next week.
Oh, thank you.
Next week, John Daly will be the mystery guest. Good night, John.
Oh, no, I won't. And good night, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for being with us on What's My Line.
Transportation for What's My Line is arranged through American Airlines, America's leading airline, serving 77 major cities throughout the United States, Canada, and Mexico. This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production in association with the CBS Television Network.